Welcome, and thank you for joining me on the path of the seeker. Today I want to explain this little catchphrase that I use at the beginning of my videos and on my blog. The path of the seeker is unique to every individual. I learned in my final cornerstone class on psychology that science has concluded that behavior cannot be categorized. Each person reacts to events in a unique way because they have a unique history and a unique inherent reaction to events. The psychology you see depicted on television and by Hollywood is pure fantasy, not even remotely based on the actual science of psychology. The path of the seeker is the same way. To progress on the path of the seeker, you just follow what excites you most. If ghosts, aliens, and channeled beings excite you, there are plenty of those nowadays. If you're interested in symbolism or an ancient system of hidden knowledge, subscribe to this channel because that's what I deliver in bite-sized chunks. Personally, I only work with my higher self and the Creator. Based on my experience, all of us can tap into that universal source of energy from which we come. And all of us have had many past lives that we can draw upon when we're looking for this knowledge. A lot of people are looking for a spiritual magic bullet to fix their lives and fix reality. But what I've learned on my path is that it's more of a self-acceptance, an acceptance of the way this reality works that brings the internal peace that most people are seeking. The 7 code that I have found in all ancient systems and spiritual religions has really illuminated for me the underlying pattern of existence. And once you're aware of the pattern, you can bring it into your conscious awareness and start working with that pattern. And it brings you a sense of peace, belonging, and acceptance that I have never found anywhere else, including channeled beings. I created this channel to share with my mom and some close friends and family who were interested in what I was studying, because presentations were a lot easier to show this information than trying to describe it to people. As I have continued to evolve, this channel has evolved as well, and there's a lot of information on my blog that I really think needs to reach more people, and that's the purpose of continuing with this channel. Now, I did stop for 2 years to raise my daughter, who is a little miracle. I have seen miracles on the path that I've walked, and eventually I will share those because I do find it very inspiring. In my opinion, miracles do happen quite often. You just have to have the eyes to see them. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. I am not a guru. I don't claim to be enlightened, and I am not an entertainer either. I am a teacher, and I do come from a place of peacefulness and rock-solid knowledge of self. Once you reach the point where you know yourself, nothing can shake your foundation. I have been tested on the path of the seeker, and I have overcome some extremely traumatic experiences. Personality tests, other people's opinions, outer leaders, and the media cannot create that foundation for you. All of that is group think. Most of those people are only after your money. That unshakable foundation that I have created and has been tested is only created by you walking your individual path of the seeker. When you find what is true for you, you stick to it despite what's popular because it feels good and it works for you. I'm going to share with you my unique imperfect path. I didn't just spontaneously know all of this at some point, and my view has changed significantly until I reached a point where I was satisfied with the answers that I found. Now, I've been walking the path of the seeker for almost 30 years. All of it started when my grandma died, and I read the Bible cover to cover and realized when I read the book of Matthew that the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven were not recorded in the Bible. I personally found the ritual of church to be exhausting because I'm not a group person. I always feel drained when I'm in groups. And I found it to be a very superficial experience of a bunch of people who were competing to be popular. So I never saw any benefit in going to church. I understood that there was hidden knowledge that Jesus was referring to that wouldn't be found in the church, and I sought that information. That's what led me to pick up the book Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield in 1990. There wasn't much information out back then or books, so the trail eventually went cold. In 2005, I experienced another dark night of the soul and ended up going to a psychologist who gave me a book called When Everything Falls Apart by Pema. I believe her last name is called Chodron, but I might be wrong. I'll put a link in the description box below to the book. And I continue to meditate to this day. Meditation is one of the most beneficial practices that I can recommend to anyone if you have the patience. It does take a little bit of building up of endurance, but is totally worth it. I continued to meditate, but I wasn't really excited about the path of the seeker again until 2007 when I came across the theory of the Anunnaki. Eventually, the trail went cold again because I realized that it didn't really benefit me to know that information. The information is intriguing and it can be fun to study, but at the end of the day, it didn't bring any peace to my everyday life. And in many cases, I've actually seen it cause people to experience anxiety. In 2015, I came back to the path of the seeker again after a massive dark night of the soul when my firstborn daughter died. I found a plethora of information and teachers. I studied mysticism in all its forms, from the Jewish Kabbalah to the indigenous medicine wheel. I discovered that there is an ancient system of knowledge preserved in the very pattern of creation itself, and that mystics throughout the eons have preserved this knowledge for us despite intense persecution. From alchemists that had to hide their study in Europe to indigenous shamans that were shamelessly killed by groups that thought they held superior spiritual knowledge. Untold thousands have preserved the knowledge, and it is accessible to us today. I realized that by being inclusive instead of just focusing on one system, the different systems actually interact with each other and explain each other to a degree that is simply divine. What I discovered is that ultimately the path of the seeker is the path to individualization and awakening. On the path, you discover what Edgar Cayce described as the purpose of life, to know yourself as yourself and one with the Creator. For me, I never gained a sense of belonging or oneness from the outer reality or groups. I'm a natural lone wolf. I feel drained after being in a group setting. I gained that sense of belonging when I understood that I was a unique being and that what makes me one with the Creator is the inner divine spark that all human beings share. Now, I've always been able to tap into that oneness, especially through meditation. So I really never needed groups in order to understand that I was one with everybody and everything around me. I understand that some people need groups to feel that sense of belonging, but I truly believe through the path of the seeker that you can start to fulfill that on your own without anyone else being necessary, whether that's a soulmate, a twin soul, or a group to belong to. The path of the seeker is an inner alchemical and hermetic path. As the Emerald Tablet states, what is above is below, or in other words, what's in the heavens is within us, and as within, so without, which is the basic principle upon which manifestation is based. Our inner reality determines the outer reality that we encounter. It is how we react to the outer reality that matters more than the outer reality itself. Since the outer reality does correspond to our inner reality, we can learn much about ourselves by studying the outer world. There are the 7 visible stars in the sky, which include the sun and the moon, that correlate to the 7 energetic centers, or chakras, of the body. Of course, there's the natural process of death and rebirth, which alchemy studies, that exists on this plane of reality. And as we study these different systems, we ultimately learn about ourselves and our role in the cosmos. Interestingly, by studying these systems, we come to understand the Creator that created them. Much as we identify anything we create as a form of expression of self, so too is all of creation an aspect or form of expression of the Creator. You can intuit from an artist's painting what the artist was thinking or the mood that they were in when they created that form of art. And so too, by studying this outer reality, we can understand the Creator. Currently, on my path of the seeker, I explore and share that esoteric wisdom with everyone because the time has come where people have a spiritual hunger. The videos on this channel are the breadcrumbs that I discovered on my path back to the Creator. Since on my path of the seeker I discovered that all life is an interconnected pattern, there's a couple of ways that I've learned to work with that pattern. One of those ways is by working with the new and full moon cycle, and there is a video that I will be making that explains why it's important to work with those cycles. And another method that I use is the Oracle Stone of the Week, where I tap into the energy of my soul group or the collective and make a little bit of a prediction about how the week will go or what the theme of the week will be. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching my channel and joining me on the path of the seeker. I truly hope you find sustenance for your soul.